Hello, hello, hello. Good morning and welcome in to the Tuesday Tea with me. Listen, you guys know it has been 4 years since I've been doing the Tuesday Tea. Well, this is going to be the last month doing the Tuesday Tea in the way that I'm doing the Tuesday Tea this morning. So, what does that mean for those who are coming in here who'll be catching the replay? I am currently live on my business page, my personal page, and my YouTube business page. And I will be beginning, well, this will be the last Tuesday that I will be on those three places. So I will still be doing the Tuesday tea, but the Tuesday tea will take place on another YouTube page, on my personal page, and my influencer Facebook page. That's where the Tuesday tea will take place. Most of you are on my business page anyway, so it makes sense to transition over there. And then on my jewelry business page, I will now be doing trainings on building a jewelry business. All right, because most of the people over there are either my customers, those who are customers who want to be in business with me, or they are people who are already in business with me. So it makes sense to do the trainings over there. Now, some might say, why am I changing it? Some might be asking. And one of the reasons I'm changing is because Tuesday Tea has really been on the mindset part of things. Because the one thing I've learned by being in business for 12 years in the same business is that it's usually not the product or the service that is the problem with your business growing. It's usually us is the problem. And what I mean by us is our mindset, our confidence or lack thereof, our self-esteem or lack of self-esteem. And so I've been reading and sharing books over the years that has helped me grow as a leader of people who may have low self-esteem, who may lack in confidence, whose mindset isn't where it is. And before I was leading others, it was leading myself. Because the one thing I say that we're responsible for is leading ourselves. So with that being said, if you're a first-time listener in here on this Tuesday tea, I want to say welcome and let us know where you are coming from. And let me move this over here so I can see the comments. Oh, there they go. I can see the comments now. I had it over on the wrong side and I need to delete this comment. There we go. I'm not selling any product. So next Tuesday will be March. Can y'all believe we are in the third month of the year? So next Tuesday will be March, and we'll be starting a new book. And I don't have the book sitting in front of me. It's actually in my bedroom, sitting next to on my nightstand because I read every night before I go to bed. And that is The Magic of Believing. I think that's the name of the book. I'm pretty sure it's The Magic of the Believing. And there's going to be different copies because it's a book that was written years and years and years ago. I wouldn't say 100 years, but it's been written years ago. And so there's going to be different copies of it, different covers. And the cover I have is a nice bright orange cover. So go get that book if you want to continue with the Tuesday Tea with me. You can also join my Facebook group, which is the After Tuesday Tea. And I haven't been as active in that group. Speaking of, I need to share this live in there right now with my After the Tuesday Tea group so they don't have to come looking for it. And we'll be doing more book discussions in that group. And it's been a great run. Like I've been here doing this. I was looking at my head. I've been doing the Tuesday Tea for 4 years. Now talk about consistency, baby. And it has done exactly what I hoped it'd do. And so it's now to move it into other places. So let me get over here and share the Tuesday Tea with the After the Tuesday Tea group. So if you want to write, Sherry says, wow, yes, 4 years consistently. And if I count correctly, I've canceled less than 5 times. And it's been like due to a doctor's appointment because I have children and those things happen. And so, yeah, it's been great. A great run. And the run is not over. I'm not done doing the Tuesday Tea. I'm just moving it somewhere else so that on my business page, I can do training, which so many consultants have been like, yes, I can do trainings based on my experience and the things that I've learned in years. Because there's definitely more than one way. There's some basics that you have to do, but there's other ways that you can carry out the basics of growing your business, no matter what the business is, a product or service, because you're still selling something. So let me get this shared. Perfect. It did show up where I needed it to show a bit. Let me copy this, turn the volume down, and get this copy. And then we're going to get into this book. Now, I'll be honest, 4 years of sharing books. This book started off as I was really into it. And then towards the end of the book, like right now, I'm over it. I'm ready. I actually, and maybe it's because I've actually started reading the second book. I was reading them at the same time, and I'm more excited about the next book that's coming up, The Magic of Believing. I have it here. Yes, The Magic of Believing, which is March. And then after The Magic of Believing, we're going to the Side Hustle. And then after Side Hustle, we're choosing your enemies wisely. I think that's a good one for the springtime. So let me get this shared over to After Tuesday Tea, and we're going to jump into this book and maybe why and I don't take it's a great book, has some great concepts in it. I just don't know why I'm not really feeling it. It's not holding my attention. That's what it's not doing anymore. And it might be because I'm really into The Magic of Believing. So the book that we're on right now, and this is the last week of this book, is The Art of Thinking Clearly. And it's what I like about it is The Art of Thinking Clearly is really talking about a lot of misconceptions that we have about how we're thinking, and we're taking on that we believe in many cases that we've come up with this thought process by ourselves, not realizing the influence that the world, the people around us, the culture that we were raised in, the country, the state, the location, whether it's a northern, eastern, southern, or west, like there's concepts that have and ideas, and the class, like we grew up in the poor class, or we're raising our kids in the middle class, or if you're in the upper class, which the definition of that has been going around social media right now. Like, do you really feel like these numbers are the same numbers as like the lower? It's like the super poor low class, the poor lower class, the middle class is like the regular lower class. Well, there's been things going around like the classes are not what we knew them as before. There's been discussions about that. But no matter what the case is or has been, it has influenced our thoughts, and our thoughts were forming decisions not based on clear information and clear understanding. And that's what this book's helpful with. So I'm going to go to and just go through some of the chapters. There's like 101. I don't even like call them chapters because they're like 2 or 3 pages, but it's like sections, 100 sections. Let me see. 99. There's 99 sections to this book. So I'm going to go through and just read some of the sections that I highlighted, starting on page 230, I think is where I'm going to start, or 221. Let's see. And some things that stood out to me in some of these sections that I underlined. And there's so much more that you can get from this book. So I do think it's, especially if you're feeling like your thoughts aren't clear, when you read some of this, you be like, oh, that's why I think that way about things. And you can decide if you want to maintain that kind of thought process, or if you want to move over to another kind of thought process. And at the end of this live, I will share with you, because I think I have it in front of me, I created a whole curriculum. I'm a former assistant principal, which means in order to be assistant principal, I had to be a teacher first, and then I was a coach of teachers. So writing curriculum just comes second nature to me. So I've written a whole curriculum of what I will be teaching on my business page for the consultants. And is it in this book? Live schedule, invoice schedule, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities for threats. That's those notes right there. Yes. Okay. So I have right here, if you stick around, I'll share with you the topics I'll be touching on from March until October is how far I got. And I didn't do to November. I didn't do December. December will probably be a recap of all the trainings over the year of what I'll be talking about for my business on my business page. As I'll be making events on my business page so that you can RSVP for the ones you're like, oh, I need to catch that topic. And then the Tuesday teas, like I said, will be taking place on my personal page, my influencer page, and on my influencer YouTube channel. And then of course you can drop after the Tuesday tea if you want to be added to the After Tuesday Tea Facebook group. All right, so this chapter, this section right here is handle with care. And what do you handle with care? Your expectations. Listen, I didn't even bring my tea out here this morning because I literally decided to wake up this morning and wash my hair. And so that's why I was like 5 minutes late, because I had to wait for it to dry. Then I had to put the makeup on. It's a whole thing. I was really tired yesterday. I needed to be washed last night, but I woke up this morning and washed it and curled it, put some rollers in and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't even made my tea yet. That would be the first thing I do with this live right here. But this section 62, somebody drop in the comments, section 62 is handle with care your expectations. Listen, I don't to go into this. That is the T right there. Can we think about how many things, how many relationships, how many people, how many careers, how many jobs, like how many things in our lives we need to handle with care by specifically handling our expectations. I was watching a YouTube video. I'm in a network marketing business, okay? And there are so many people who have negative thoughts about network marketing. Me, I'm not one of them. I don't look at the entire industry negatively. Are there negative players? But yes, I was an assistant principal. There's negative players in the school system. Do I think negatively about the entire education process because I don't agree with the negative players? No. So do I think negatively about the whole thing of network marketing because there are some negative players? No. Do I think negatively about all of politics because there are lots of negative players in politicians? No, right? So that's it sort of bothers me when people blanket something as being horrible just based on one bad experience. So I was listening to a podcast this morning as I was doing my hair, and they were talking about the expectations. And sometimes people put these, oh, you can work from home overnight, or you can make full-time money with part-time hours. And I believe this is true. I believe right now I ain't making, or I not even believe, this is a fact. Like, this is in black and white. I can show receipts for this, that I am making full-time money based on part-time hours, but it was not always like this. I think people, like I was telling my husband, this year, I've been in my business 12 years. I would have hit $1 million in my business, or I will hit $1 million in my business this year. So I can literally say that I'm a millionaire in network marketing from this business, which is why I asked some people, and I made a Facebook post and said, how many years would you have to work your job to make $1 million? So the expectation I try to paint for people in the business that I've chosen is that spend 12 to 18 months. Now, that's average. If you come into a network marketing business with no motivation, you haven't been a motivated person, you come into it with low self-esteem, you come in with it with no confidence, then your window may not be 12 to 18 months. Your window for making full-time money at part-time hours could take you 3 years, depending on how much previous baggage has to be worked on. That's just not network marketing. That's any business. That's any career. There are going to be people who walk into a career with the same certifications that you have that will surpass you because they don't have mental roadblocks, thinking that everybody in the company is out to get them, thinking that only certain people can make it to the top, that it's not fair. That person didn't come in with those mindsets, so they're going to be able to move up the ladder quicker. I moved into a school system and within 2 years was an assistant principal. There were people who had been in the school system all their lives who had aspirations of being an assistant principal and didn't make it in that time period. And they would probably say about me, oh, she must have, there were stories, not from this school, not from the school that I made assistant principal, but the one I was went from a teacher to a coach. The stories were that I wasn't certified and my principal felt bad for me. He didn't want to fire me, so he made a position for me that didn't require certification. You know why they came with that rule? Because they couldn't find my certification online. You know why they couldn't find my certification online? Because my real name was hyphenated. My last name was hyphenated, Waller-Crump. But in the school system and all paperwork, it just said Crump, which was my previous married name. So when they were looking up online, they couldn't find a certification. So no, not that I wasn't qualified. Knowing that I didn't have more certification they had, I had ESOL, I have gifted, I had a master's degree, I had I had certifications beyond what this job required, but she just wasn't qualified and he didn't want to fire her. No. So even in a school system, you have to do certain work. You have to, with your mindset, to be able to, in a career, if you come in believing that you can get it, it'll be yours. You need the book next week that we're working on, which is The Magic of Believing. That's literally what I'm talking about right now. And I'm getting off of what it is. Handle with care your expectations. All right. Why do you need to handle your expectations with care? Raise, it says on page 187, raise expectations for yourself and for the people you love. Raise the bar, people. That's the T right there. I can put this away, but I'm going to keep reading. What happens when you raise the expectations for yourself and you raise it for the people you love? A lot of us on here are moms. A lot of us on here are dads. I know Michael's in here. Good morning. He said, good morning, Miss Farmer. We're dads. He's a dad. Our children rise to the bar that we expect. If you don't expect them to clean their rooms, they won't. If your expectation is, this happens in relationships. Many of us get what we expect. We don't expect for him to work. He not. We don't expect for him to treat us like a queen. Now, on the other side is if you have to show up at what you expect. You want to attract a certain kind of man or woman, then you must be the kind of man or woman that that person will want to be with. You can't be a negative Nancy. I tell you one thing right now, no successful man or woman wants to be married to someone who is negative and feel like the whole world is against them, because they don't, successful people don't operate like that. So they don't want people in their circles that operate that way. Now, I didn't say it. The Art of Thinking clearly said it. I am just here as a vessel to try to give you some pictures of what they're saying that applies to our real life. Please read it for yourself. All right. Now, what he says is, at the same time, lower expectations for things you cannot control. Ooh, that's the T. Lower your expectations for things you can't control. You can't control other people. You can only control your response to them. So have a high expectation of how you're going to respond to people who disrespect you, but don't have a high expectation for the disrespectful person to change, because we can't control that. Where is my cup? I need to drink the tea. That literally goes back to the relationship thing. That literally goes back to the building your business thing. I can't control how fast my product comes to me. I can control not ordering late so that it doesn't affect what my customers need. That's within my control. So I'm gonna read this, what he said. Those 3 sentences right there to me were powerful. Now, this is why I'm really gonna start skipping on some books. Like, this is really one of those books you can skip on, right? Like, you can go to the beginning of it and you can be like, number, because the titles really reel me in. So number 83 says, how eye-catching details render us blind. Salience effect. What's the salience effect? Let me go read that one. Why money is not naked. House money effect. Ooh, the house money effect. Let me go read that one. Number 86. Build your own castle. Envy. Ooh, some of us envy. That's page 257, just in case you want to know. Now let me get back to this. This chapter right here is little. Miss K said, woo, yes, honey, that's a T. Handle with care your expectations. What did he say? I'm gonna read it again. Raise expectations for yourself, and you raise them for the people you love. This increases motivation. You're not motivated, your expectations too low. Raise the bar and then work every day to reach it. Your goal's too low. And then that will increase your motivation. I didn't say it. Thinking, the Art of Thinking clearly said it. Next sentence. This increases your motivation. At the same time, lower expectation for things you cannot control. He says, for example, the stock market. You cannot control the stock market. Lower your expectations. As paradoxical as it sounds, the best way to shield yourself from nasty surprises is to anticipate them. People are going to be people. Why are we not anticipating that? So have you guys seen the video of Cam Newton and how he was supposedly jumped? So there's different versions of this video. I only watched one and I already knew what it was after I watched that one. And I'm going to play this video later today. I'm gonna go in and screen record it because it's a part of a whole thing. But Plies made the truest video about this Cam Newton video that came out of him being jumped. Now, I knew what it was, but maybe because I understand African-American youth football, and so I knew those weren't young men that jumped him. I knew when I watched the video that those were somebody's daddy. I knew that from the jump. I also knew that Cam Newton was talking junk because that's who he is as a person. That's a sport that he grew up in, a sport that he plays, and he's a talk junk player who has lots of money. I knew that, and all I did was watch a short clip. Okay. Then I see all these people come out. This is the problem with our community. And so I know some of you women probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm telling you, if you want to know what I'm talking about, because it's on social media, people are posting about it, go watch. You can Google it, Cam Newton being jumped or something like that. It's going to come up. What Ply said, which I already knew, but I'm going to use his words because this is how he explained it or paraphrase it. He said, why are we setting high expectations? This is me using the expectation word to apply it to the situation. When we know, he's like, I knew about this football program. He's like, this football program has always had parents who were disrespectful to referees, who had coaches who were disrespectful to the players, who had players who were disrespectful to the referees. He was like, everything about this situation is disrespectful. That's why I'm not involved in it. So he was like, so why then are we now surprised that some of the dads or the men coaches, they were coaches, men get in a tussle? I wouldn't even call it a full fight, get in a tussle with Cam Newton when this basically was building up to this. The behavior on this field and the expectations that were not set literally goes on a line like this was eventually going to happen. And now we're just in an age where everybody got a camera and it's video recorded and it's put out for everybody who's not in this situation to have their opinions about it. To me, this is an example of the best way to shield yourself from nasty surprises is to anticipate them. It should be no surprise. Plot is like, we could have anticipated this was going to happen. Every time Cam loses, which is what happened in this case, his team lost, he talks a whole lot of junk. And so it should be no surprise. The guy that you dated, there should be no surprise. He was a liar. There was red flags a long way. Risa Tisa. The best way to shield yourself from nasty surprises to anticipate it. There are a very minute amount of people who have the Cinderella story where somebody comes in and sweeps you out your feet. Very few people have the Cinderella story. So we want to talk about Risa Tisa applying this concept of handle with care your expectations. A woman like Risa Tisa, from her words, that lived paycheck to paycheck, who had no idea about a home buying process, no clue of how it worked, who was not versed in arena football, was then approached by a man who's supposed to be a VP. Let's handle expectations. How many of you, this is, watchers, listeners, people who are going to be catching a replay. What is the percentage of VPs in real life right now who are out there marrying a person who lives paycheck to paycheck? And I'm not talking about 7-figure paycheck to paycheck, because they do exist too. And I'm not talking about multi-6-figure earner paycheck to paycheck, because they exist too. I'm talking about the regular working class woman who's living paycheck to paycheck, whose lack of experiences shows you she hasn't been around LinkedIn because she didn't understand there are certain level of woman who understands the home buying process. We all have cousins who we know don't understand anything about the home buying process. Is a VP going to be looking at them to marry them? Exactly. Michael said it's rare if non-existent. So her expectations weren't clear. So there should be no surprises. I'm not saying, I'm just applying this concept from Rolf DeBelly, from the book, The Art of Thinking Clearly. We would avoid many situations if we were able to think clearly and stop seeing ourselves as the one in 5 billion. The reality is If you want to shield yourself from the nasty surprises she experienced, quoting from the book, then you have to anticipate them. And realize if you want to make yourself a candidate, even for consideration of somebody who's a VP of a company, then you might need to understand the home buying process. You might need to know how to manage your money better so you're not living paycheck to paycheck. Because then you won't be captured by somebody who dangles in your face a carrot of paying your $1,000 rent. Are you catching what I'm putting down? This is just from the art of thinking clearly, and all I'm doing is applying things that we currently understand in our world right now, that if a person applies, now y'all, I know this tea too hot, y'all don't want to hear this. You don't want to hear this, but I'm not here for what you want to hear. I'm here for what we need to hear. All right, now I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm not gonna spend the whole tea on that one. All right, so let's go to the next one. That was just on handle with care your expectations. The next one is, which is funny because Michael says you have to remove the emotional expectation from reality and face what you're actually dealing with in your face. And the next section says speed traps, simple logic. If you find that simply being logical is something that is not a strength for you, then you might want to go to the art of thinking clearly and read section 63 that talks about using simple logic. Now, let me go to some other things that I underlined in this book for this Tuesday tea. We wrap this book up. That was a good one, I think. All right, this next one. Oh, this is called number 60. Hurts so good. Effort justification. Effort justification. I know right now, and I'm not even going to quote this. People justify things based on the effort they put into it. This happened the other day. So my daughter had a birthday party this past weekend, and one of her things she wanted for her birthday was her cousin, they're 2 months apart, to come from Chicago. So her dad flew her cousin, because it's his niece, from Chicago to spend the weekend with us here in Georgia. Great experience. Nothing has this. I'm just building up the situation. So I had to drop her off at the airport or take her to the airport. This is only her second time flying. She's 16. It's only her second time flying. The first time she flew with her dad, that was last year when they came down for my daughter's 16th birthday. This time she came down by herself. So it's her second time flying, so she flew by herself. So I accompanied her. I got one of those where they give you like a fake ticket, like you're not flying, you're just accompanying a minor. I accompanied her and sat with her until she got on the plane, and the plane actually pulled off. Well, so while I'm waiting for the plane to pull off, here comes two ladies, and they not running. They not in no rush. They're casually walking and talking. Are y'all picturing? Guy, you've been in the airport. Drop a number 1 in the comments. You've been to the airport. I want to make sure I'm talking to people who can picture an airport, because I don't assume everybody's been to the airport. Now, I can pretty much assume that my followers have, but drop a number 1 in the comment if you've been to the airport. Drop a number 2 in the comment if you've been to the Atlanta airport, the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. It's not like other ones. If you haven't been through, I've been through a lot of airports, and Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson is not like any other. And I take that for granted, because I go other places and I'm like, it took me 5 minutes to get from the airplane to outside the cab. Whereas in Atlanta, it's like 30, 45. I have pre-check, so TSA pre-check. So I skipped through the line, and then I couldn't do TSA pre-check to accompany her back. So I had to get in a regular line. But good thing is her flight left at 5 a.m. in the morning, so nobody was there. All right, so good. I see those 1s and 2s coming in. So you guys can picture what I'm saying. So I'm sitting there, and she flew Spirit. So I'm sitting there. Now, Spirit, I've never flown Spirit. I've flown Frontier. When I flew Frontier, I was like, never again. But this is what I experienced from this situation, is that if you're going to fly Spirit, if you're a Delta person and you're a Southwest person, I love Southwest, Delta will be a backup. If you're one of those kind of flyers, and you're like, oh, I'd never do spirit. I'm telling you, if you want to do spirit, do it at the first flight of the morning. Oh my gosh, it was so calm. Like nobody was over there, and the clientele was different. So the people who were getting on this 5 a.m. flight were out with their laptops working. They were corporate people. They were gainfully employed. They were, not the complaints that you hear about flying Spirit or Frontier. So I'm saying to you, you want a cheap flight? And you're like, I ain't doing Spirit or Frontier. And they didn't have like luggage. So you could tell they were just going someplace and then they were, coming back or whatever. So morning, just a tip for travelers, get on that cheap flight to Spirit, first flight in the morning. Don't go midday when everybody and mama on there. And I don't know about the very last one, but first 5 a.m. flight, I'm gonna be checking for it. I'm gonna be on it. So when you see me on Spirit, just mind your business. So they were just walking and casually just, they get up to the door. And there was nobody at the stand, where you check in or whatever. There's nobody there. The, I guess, stewardess or the person, the employee for Spirit she was in the window looking out at the plane that was about to take off. So they came up talking and the lady was saying something like, oh, I guess nobody's here. So the lady turns around because she realizes there's a customer, she need to do her job. So she said, oh, the door's closed. She's like, the door's now. I give it to her. The lady wasn't irate or, I was waiting for it though, because this was Spirit. So I was waiting on what I'd be seeing on TikToks. And this flight was going to Chicago. So y'all can say what y'all want to say. I'm stereotyping all day here. This is a flight going to Chicago. This is a African-American Black woman who done missed her flight. And I was just like, we're going to see how this going to turn out. So she wasn't the stereotypical thing that you might expect. She was calm and everything. But it was what she said that leads to hurt so good effort justification. She's about to justify her effort. Here she said, oh, the gate is closed. She was like, but I tried my best to get here. We tried to get here. No, not tried. It's not my fault. That was the one thing that made me look up, not look up. That's the one thing that made me look around the room like, is anybody else hearing what I'm saying? She said, it's not my fault. We tried to get here on time. Effort justification. You're justifying the effort you made. It's still your fault. Like, I don't care. And let's talk about the trying. Because you were just walking and talking and laughing with your girlfriend, like, yeah, I don't remember what they exactly were saying, but I remember looking up from my phone at them walking by. And at that time, I didn't know they were coming to this closed gate to get in. I didn't know they were coming to this closed door to get in because they weren't running like they thought they were about to get left. And so the flight left at 6 o'clock. The door closed at 5:45. They got there like 5:47. And what came out her mouth, y'all hear what I'm saying? Well, it's not my fault. Somebody drop that in the comment. It's not my fault. Yes, ma'am, it is your fault. Who else's fault is it that you didn't get here on time? Now, she might say, well, my ride was late and it could have been their fault. But as far as the people at Spirit are concerned, that falls under the person who bought the ticket's fault. You see what I'm saying? Like the person who's working at Spirit can't put blame on somebody. Oh, because your driver didn't get here, it's not your fault. No, sis, it's your fault. Now let's get to the book. What does the book say about this? Hurt so good, effort justification. He gives a story about John and Mark. And he said that John and Mark are victims of effort justification. What is effort justification? When you put a lot of energy into a task, you tend to overvalue the result. Let me slow that down. And I got you out this Tuesday. I'm taking it over. When you put a lot of energy into a task, you tend to overvalue the result. Let me tell you another story. So I used to own a thrift store. For those of you who didn't know, I used to own a thrift store. I was the queen of thrift store shopping. And I was like, and what really made me think I was capable of doing this, because when I went into thrift stores and I saw people shopping, I'd be like, why are you buying a Target and Walmart shirt at a thrift store? Like, thrift store shopping is to go get things that you can't afford at full price, which, they probably couldn't afford Target. But that's not the case. Like, I was looking at the women, I'm like, you can afford Target and Walmart. So why would you come in here and buy a used Target and Walmart? My idea of thrift store shopping is going to buy something at the time of a teacher that I could not afford full price on a teacher's salary, but I wanted to be able to wear. So an example of that is Black and White. All right. If you know the Black and White brand, drop a number 3 in the comments. I want to see who knows the Black and White brand. I like the Black and White brand. It's classic, it's expensive. As a teacher, I couldn't afford it. So I would go to thrift stores and look for Black and White brand in my size 4 at the time. So I had a thrift store, and in the thrift store, this lady wanted to sell, she was selling her crochet items. All right. Now, her crochet item that she made, she literally this is what came out of her mouth. Because I was like, I don't think it's going to sell in here for that price. She was making like mittens and selling for $20. Now, I'm not a crochet, expert. But I tell you one thing, the clientele that was coming to a thrift store was not buying any $20 crochet mittens. And in my opinion, they weren't the best crochet mittens. But you know what her response was? I spent a lot of time on this. People don't pay for what you did because it took you a lot of time to do it. People pay based on market value. So let's give you an example of a car. If you put a Honda next to a Mercedes M-Class, I think that's what they're called. We'll just say Mercedes. If you put a Honda next to a Mercedes and Honda says, it took us a whole year to make this car, so we're going to charge you $50,000 for it. But the Mercedes says, it took us a week through the assembly line. We're going to charge you $50,000 for it. Which car are you buying? Let me see in the comments. Which car are you buying? Are you buying a $50,000 Honda or are you buying a $50,000 Mercedes? If you got $50,000 to spend, which one are you getting? It's in your budget. You can't afford it. Which car are you getting? The Mercedes or the Honda? Janetta says the Honda. Janetta, I want to know why you buying that $50,000 Honda because it took them a year to make it. Oh, there you go. She said ladies. That makes more sense to me. Jocelyn said the Honda. Why? Why are you spending $50,000 on a Honda when you can get a Mercedes for $50G? And it's not even the name. I'm not even saying the name. The quality of the Mercedes, the features you're going to get in the Mercedes is going to be worth the $50,000. You're not getting them features in a Honda. But Honda's pricing it because it took them a year to make. But somebody buying something is not buying it because it took you a long time to make it. That is literally effort justification. I spent a lot of time on this cake. You ever seen two people make cakes and the person on the left priced their cake for $8 and the person on the right priced their cake for $8? And you look at the cake, you're like, I'm not spending $8 on that. And she priced it at $8 because it took her a long time to make it. It is not the time it took you make the cake. It is the quality of the cake that people buy. Yes, you may have spent the same amount of money to make this cake as the other person because y'all still have the same flour. Y'all have the same eggs. Y'all have the same milk. But the quality of the end process of putting together is not the same. So nobody's paying for your time. They're paying for the quality of it. You can't justify things based on the time it spent. Now, let's go to what it says. That's my interpretation. He says, research proves groups use effort justification to bind members to them. So here's an example, another example of how you use justification. Now, some of y'all might not like this because I'm not Greek. I didn't pledge, but I didn't say it. The book said it. Here it says, through initiation rites, effort justification is proven through initiation rites. It says gangs and fraternities initiate new members by forcing them to withstand nauseating or vicious tests. Research proves that the harder the entrance exam is to pass, the greater the subsequent pride and the value they attach to their membership. Another example, MBA schools, MBA, people that pay all this money for MBA, play the effort justification in this way. They work their students day and night without respite, often to the point of exhaustion. Regardless of whether the coursework proves useful later on, once the students have the MBAs in the bag, they'll deem the qualification essential for their careers simply because it demanded so much of them. I don't have that problem. My number one rule in life is to work smarter, not harder. Somebody dropped it in the comments. Number one rule. I feel this is a great end to 4 years on my business page. Number one rule: work smarter, not harder. To me, it is foolish to feel like you got to put in 20 years to justify that you're great at something. I don't need to work something for 20 years to prove that I'm great. I need to put in the same amount of effort. But if I can put in the same amount of effort in 2 years to prove that I'm great, then and I'm going to have receipts to show for it. It took you 20 years to make $1 million, but I can make $1 million in 2 years. You're justifying that you're better at it because it took you so long? What justification is that? Not when my goal is to work smarter, not harder. I'm not trying to work all them years to prove to you that I can do it in 20. I had to work my career for 20 years. Why? I think that's foolish. Why gotta work 20 years? Why? Why wouldn't you try to get it done quicker? As long as the quality is great. So people this is why when I think of Greeks, people will say, oh, they went paper. Because they're justifying the effort by putting in all the time, the wear, the tear, the whatever the process was, that, oh, you couldn't have earned it as well as I did because you just took a test. Don't we get the same benefits at the end? Oh, your bragging rights is just okay. Do you? Like, I didn't go get my doctorate. Now, I'm not saying it. Listen, I'm just giving you. I could care less one way or the other how you go Greek. I'm not. So this is don't lie there. All right. Don't build a tent. Don't place your tent on that one and be like, well, I'm standing right here on that one. No. It's just an example in the book. The same thing is true for MBA. I didn't go get my doctorate. I have nothing wrong with people who go get doctorates. But my reason for getting a doctorate was only not because I couldn't do the work, not because I wasn't qualified. It was that I would only get the raise, the financial raise in the school system is if I got the doctorate. And I was like, but I could not spend money on a doctorate and just go make the money myself, which is what I did. I left the school system without a doctorate degree debt and went and made more money than my current superintendent. Like he was there when I came in, when I left out, and he's still there now. And I've made more money by leaving and not getting a doctorate than he did by staying, which no slight to him. Like, I believe you need to work within what brings you joy. And I would like to think that he has joy, that every superintendent is where they want to be. But that, I was like, if my reason for doing it is the money, then can't I find another way to make the money that's more fulfilling? And so that's what I did. So this one is hurt so good, effort justification. Now, those two right there are the T. If those aren't good enough for you to pick up the book, I don't know what is. Because the other one is, if you have an enemy, give him information. Information bias. Ooh, if you have an enemy, because we walk around like, I ain't telling them nothing. No, give them the information. But you have to know the right information to give them. This is called the illusion that more information guarantees better decisions. More information does not guarantee you're going to make a better decision. And that's research. That's based on statistics. That you spending more time on, well, I'm going to research the house. I'm going to research the solar planners. I'm going to research the car. More time is not going to give you more information. The illusion that more information guarantees better decisions. The greatest obstacle to discovery is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. I ain't got time for this, but y'all can go read this. He says, and the next time you are confronted by a rival, consider killing him, not with kindness, but the reams of data and analysis. So how do you kill your enemies? With so much information. They're going to get caught up in the information. They can't see through to what you're actually doing. Bye-bye, y'all. That's the tea. Grab the book if you haven't already. The Art of Thinking Clearly. I'll be posting this. You go back and catch the hashtag replay. And I told you before I got off of here, I will tell you the trainings I'm going to be doing on my business page. So if you're watching me on my business page, it's Cuter Than Most Accessories. If you're not currently following on my business page and you want these trainings, then go like, love, and follow my business page. I'll be over there training in March on how to buy jewelry. In April on how to sell it. In May, we're going to continue on selling, but via social media. On June, we're going to talk about storing your jewelry. In July, we're going to talk about customers, new ones, and follow-up. In August, we're going to talk about marketing. In September, it's going to be selling through funnels. October is going to be branding. And November is going to be leadership. And then December will be a recap of that. So that is March through November. So if you're in my business, go on my business page. I'll be training on those. And then the next Tuesday tea is on my personal page and on my where's that called? Let me sign into this so I can tell you what books we got coming up next. 02 28 07. You can join, you can comment, you can search Facebook for the After the Tuesday Tea group so you don't miss anything. You can also comment after Tuesday Tea and I will send you the information. But the next book is The Magic of Believing. That's the book for March. Just happens to be March, starts with same letter as magic. That wasn't on purpose. April, we're reading the book Side Hustle. And May, we're going to read Choose Your Enemies Wisely. I have the books pinned to the top of my personal page if you want to go get that list of books or join the After the Tuesday Tea. And I wish you all an amazing day. Love y'all. And thank you so much for joining me in here with the Tuesday Tea with me. Bye.